Now, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching Imani Television. This is the #1 television station that builds your faith in Jesus Christ, and the #1 TV station that also has dedicated its time and airtime to put Jesus Christ on the airwaves. Welcome to Health, Hygiene and Wellness this year. My name is Barasa Saenyi. Happy New Year to you wherever you are. We have as many episodes as possible for you to learn from this year. So stay tuned to our health program so that you can learn much from it. But I would like us to begin on a higher note, beginning on mental health, where we learn more about it. Let's find facts about it. Last year we had time with Dr. Innocent. We learned about it, mental health, and it's better if we regularly talk about it so that we can know how to live with it. So welcome today again to Health, Hygiene and Wellness. I have Dr. Innocent again in our studios. He's ready, very ready, armed and equipped to give us more information about our mental health. So welcome, Daktari.
Thank you so much, Mr.
How is your year? How is the beginning of this year?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
It was a good holiday and
yes,
we have enjoyed.
Welcome back.
2024.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
We are still talking about these things, about mental health and other health issues so that we can have a healthy society.
Yeah.
Let's begin just once again like we did it the other time. Maybe to define mental health and give us detailed information about how we can understand it.
So mental health is the state of your well-being, and we can base it in two categories. There's the psychological view of your mental health and there's the social view. Because your mental health is not all about you. It's also all about the people who surround you. How do you affect them? And again, apart from the people who surround you, it also includes how you feel about yourself. So if you start having mental issues, the first things that we start noticing are you have your own issues and there's issues start emerging between you and the people around you.
Yes.
That is what we call your social well-being starts being affected, in that people with mental health illnesses start experiencing issues with how they feel about themselves and how they feel about relating with other people. You'll feel their social relations with other people start minimizing, and also their well-being, their self-esteem starts to diminish. And that's where mental illnesses start to come into place.
Yeah. Now, if our mental health is not maybe functioning well, what is the result of having a negative mental health?
Well, initially we had this stigma whereby we thought mental health is not a big issue. Most of the times we were dealing with what we call major illnesses in our bodies, and we kind of negated mental health issues. But over the current few years, we have come to realize that the number of suicide cases have increased.
Yes.
And this has really impacted in our society because most of these people are breadwinners. And it's not something like it only affects those people who are maybe in terms of money, who have a low source of income. This is something which affects everybody. It cuts across every social stage in the community, because we can see it affecting doctors, we can see it affecting our security officers, we can see it affecting even our normal spouses and friends in the family, so that it has become a major issue. Yeah.
All right. Now, maybe what causes this imbalance in the mental health?
Well, there are several factors which lead to mental health issues. And number one, we can talk about your the way you feel about yourself. It starts with that way, and that one can stem back to, we can go back to from your childhood. In terms of childhood, we can now talk about as a child, was the child abused, or did the child,
your upbringing?
Yeah, your upbringing. So like, for example, a young child sees a traumatic event. You know, like a small kid is in the house with their parents, and then a robber comes in, slaughters their parents, rapes their siblings, and then goes out and leaves that child just right there. That child will not be mentally able to deal in the future with other issues, because there's something we term as PTSD. That is post-traumatic disorder. This is not something that you can maybe feel the temperatures of somebody are high or maybe diagnose them in the lab. This is something that it's only somebody who knows that child will be able to recognize. Oh, there's a problem with this kid, in that they'll be able to be disconnected from the society. And those one, we'll talk about it more in the signs and symptoms, because a child who has been abused, we can even include the child abuse cases for the female and also male children. Most of these kids won't come out, and it's something that they feel ashamed about coming out to say.
Yes.
So in the long run, they end about engaging in negative ways to cope with it. And we talk about how most kids end up with drug abuse. It's not that they feel the drug is helping, but it's better dealing with the drug than expressing themselves.
Now that's for kids. What about fully grown up or adults?
Yeah, for adults, there's something called your biological factors.
Yes.
And that's something like your genes. Normally, all of us are made up of genes. So in families whereby you find somebody's parents are more prone to mental health issues,
yes,
there's a higher probability that those people will be able to predispose to having a mental illnesses. For example, if you say my father has a mental issue, and maybe in your family nobody has a mental health issue, or one of my uncles has a mental health issue, in the long run we'll find that I'm at a higher probability of developing a mental health issue than for your case.
Yes.
And this one actually cuts across even in forms of, because we have discovered that even alcohol abuse predisposes you to developing a mental health issue. So the people who like using alcohol or maybe abusing drugs,
yes,
the probability of you experiencing a mental health disorder is higher if you look back at your family and you see one of your family members has a mental health issue. And like maybe in your case, you can be abusing the same alcohol and drugs and there's nobody with a history of that. For my case, I'll be in a higher position of getting there.
Can we classify that one as genetic?
The
probability, is it as genetic?
Yeah, because we have found that most of the things we do, as a human being, you feel like most of the things you do, you decide it by yourself. But actually, as we have developed more with technology in biology, we have discovered that most of these things are pre-programmed in our body. Like for families who are addicted, you discover that the father is addicted.
Yes.
One of his kids is addicted,
yes,
and then one of their grandchild is also addicted to the same substance of abuse. And so we kind of developed a connection, and nowadays we can even narrow down to the specific gene that causes that addiction. But it's not as simple as just deleting that gene and maybe saying you cannot be addicted anymore. Yeah, it's all about predisposition.
All right. Now, Dr. you've said that maybe these mental health disorders may affect a child as well as adults. How does a parent learn that his or her child is maybe facing a mental health disorder? How do they know, or which signs do they observe in a child that they can know this child is not well, something is wrong with their mental health?
Well, number one, we tend to say that the issue about mental health illnesses is recognizing somebody as an issue. And for you to recognize somebody as an issue, you have to be there to recognize the normal pattern of somebody. You see, if maybe I normally come to a facility, maybe let's take for chance your child is somebody who's very jovial. Normally when you come back home, they're daddy and they run.
They are always active.
Yeah, they're always active. And then after some time, you recognize your little girl is kind of trying to shy away from male individuals, and even you as a father. That could be a sign that child has been abused, and they're just coping it with, associating it with male people, with males.
Yes.
And the issue with that is that you need to be close to the child, because that is not something that you can go to the child and scold them about it.
Yes.
They didn't want that to happen to them. And even for those who have experienced traumatic issues, like maybe their parents have died, they have loss of parents when they were young. For such cases, the person who's close to them is the one who will recognize. So let's be close to our kids, in that when your kid has an issue, they can easily tell you that issue. If you're not close to your kid, the probability of that kid telling you anything is very hard. They'll be able to lock themselves in, and that's how we have a downward spiral up to the issues whereby some people start thinking of suicide.
What about in adults now? For example, now I have a friend who is right now very dull and he's always active. How do I know that maybe they are suffering from one mental disorder? Maybe they have stress, PTSD or something.
So normally mental health illnesses, the biggest red flag are the patterns. No, everybody has a pattern. You can think the way I said that you normally decide the way you behave, but everybody has a pattern. For people like me, I'm very active. Whenever I'm dull, somebody can easily notice, there's something wrong, innocent, because you don't seem like normal. For some people, they like maybe communicating with others, and then when they have an issue mentally, when you have an issue, that the funny thing about the brain, it tends to withdraw you from the normal social being, and you think you are, it's almost like a cocoon. You are going back to your roots, and you don't try to communicate with anybody. So for people with mental health illnesses, even for adults, you can notice by somebody coming to the maybe like our colleague, your colleague.
Yes.
You are used to somebody coming, greeting you, going to their workplace at lunchtime. Maybe they come, they talk to you, and then a certain day you discover this person doesn't want to talk. They are not in the moods. The first day, the second day, that is a sign there's something going on in this person's life. And when we talk about how to deal with such issues, let's be more free to communicate to our friends and colleagues.
Yes.
And try to ask about how they are going on, because most issues is all about communicating. There is no single drug. That the best way we can deal with these issues is communicating with our colleagues, communicating with our friends.
So isolation can be the first sign that someone is undergoing some stress or maybe a mental health disorder.
Yeah, that's a first sign. Another one, we can talk about drug and substance abuse. Normally when somebody goes to start abusing alcohol or these other drugs,
yes,
most of these times it's because it removes them from the social realm of the reality. Like people, when they take alcohol, apart from the good feeling, most people discovered I can pump down my bad emotions or the way I'm feeling low by abusing drugs, like maybe consuming a lot of alcohol.
Yes.
And the thing about alcohol is that it just tells you are okay, but you are not okay. When the alcohol just is out of your system is when the same problem will just come back. But now for you to tackle that same problem, if you have already started dealing with alcohol, you will go back to alcohol use. So you'll be somebody who maybe if you have work, you'll be drinking in the morning, and then maybe the reason why you won't drink is because you have gone to work, and then immediately you are
out of work,
you drink again. You're just trying to avoid you experiencing that issue, you reaching the root cause of what is affecting you.
So we can say you create an illusion of yours about reality.
Yeah. That illusion with the reality is one of the signs that this person is not well. Yeah.
What if I am suffering from a mental health disorder myself, Daktari? How do I notice that myself, I have a problem? I am stressed. I have maybe depression.
So personally, for ourselves, maybe as you are seated at home and you're wondering, how will I feel like mentally I'm not okay?
Yes.
The first sign is thoughts. You have excessive thoughts. As human beings, we are programmed to worry about the future and think about the past.
Yes.
That has helped us so far since we have evolved, and it has helped us so far, and so that most of the people who have prospered, they think about their future and they also reason about their past problems. But in our social well-being right now, in our society, we are overdo it. So you find you are seated at home, you are thinking about a problem, you don't have the solution, but you will continue to think about that problem.
Prolonged thinking.
And you think that you are solving it. It's actually making it worse. You end up developing anxiety issues because you know you haven't solved this issue and you're just thinking around it. So in terms of personally yourself, when you start experiencing such issues, try to have a physical activity you are doing. Like maybe cycling. For people like cycling, other people like football, other people like basketball. And other issues is like try to develop new skills. Try to have some new things you can do here and there. These things help you to be able to vent out the way you are feeling. Because when you are concentrating on something, maybe your car has broken down, or maybe your TV, and you are trying to fix it, your mentality comes out of that state of overthinking, and you are now in the creative state. We normally call it the prefrontal cortex. It's normally used for thinking on creative and creating new ideas, creativity.
Yes.
Now when you are experiencing an issue where you need to create something new, like maybe you are mending your bike or you are doing some art, you are able to remove yourself from that overthinking state of mind. And once you are in your other zone of being creative, essentially you won't feel that same lowness that you normally feel, because normally that feeling low which comes with mental health disorders, it's part of it, comes like depression. You feel like you don't have the energy to do things. Sometimes you feel like I don't really, and some people actually it's the opposite. They feel restless. Somebody's just very active but they are doing nothing. You just feel you are uncomfortable at the spot that you are.
You are not settled. You are not calm.
Settled. Yeah, you are not calm.
Now, Daktari, when we talk about mental health at this time of the century, the issue comes about social media. How is social media related to our mental health?
Well, for social media, it has become a major issue. And actually, the thing with social media is that you don't know somebody's life wherever they are posting their life from. So we tend to live in this phase of life whereby you maybe wake up in the morning, you open your social media post, maybe it's a Facebook app or your Instagram app, and your friend has posted, God did it again, nimepata kazi, USA. You scroll down, your other spouse who's your ex, you see, finally I've succeeded in my life, I've got a job at maybe has given a big facility. You scroll down, you see another person that you know, a friend, because most of these people are your friends.
Yes.
And people mostly post about good things that happen to their lives, and you start asking yourself, Kwani, what is wrong with me?
I'm the one facing the bad things alone.
I'm the one facing everything alone. These people must be doing something that I don't know. These people must be getting an added advantage. So social media tends to make you to end up in a downward, or we can say a circular spiral of thinking, whereby you think you're not doing better than anybody else. And through this thinking, you end up predisposing yourself to mental issues, because being optimistic is a very good thing to have, because being optimistic tends to remove most of these mental health issues that we have.
Yes.
But when you are thinking that your life is not going to normal, according to social media, most of the time people don't post bad things on social media.
Yeah, they don't.
People don't. People post good things. But when you're in social media, you don't really look at it and say to yourself, I think this is just posting their good side of life and I don't know the other side of life. Most people just think this person is really enjoying their life. I can see this person in Zimbabwe, in Miami Beach, and I'm suffering here. The economy is bad. But actually, social media is just lying, because most people, even you yourself, do you post the bad things on social media?
No, you don't.
When you visit maybe Nairobi, you can post it.
Yes.
You have called somewhere for a conference, you post it.
Maybe I'm having some good meals somewhere.
Yeah.
That's that one. Yes. About meals. That's what I post most.
You're here with your githeri and you're wondering, I'm seeing my friend eating chips kuku. Where am I failing in life? But essentially, the social media part of it is that it has actually predisposed to this issue, because, and there's no regulation. It has, and also there's another aspect of cyber attacking.
Yes.
Whereby if you post something on Facebook, commenting is not. You see, Facebook cannot censor everybody.
Yes.
People are allowed to comment the way they comment. You can post something and people comment about it badly. And the funny thing about our brain is that if 5 people tell you look good, and 2 people tell you,
kidogo kuna tatizo,
are you undergoing something? Trust me, you will think about the 2 recommendations that you go rather than the 5 positive feedbacks that you go. So that's the funny thing about social media, because one wrong reply and your whole day spoiled.
So it means social media creates some pressure to someone about their life relating to other people's lives. Yeah,
it normally negates that other aspect of knowing that everybody has their up and down phases of life, and only predisposes you to seeing only their happy faces, and you end up taking it you're not doing well. And in the long run, you end up destroying your life, because you think that person is maybe having an advantage and I'm not, but everybody is just the same.
How can someone maneuver that one, Daktari, about social media? How can someone live with it and maybe get used to it, that social media is giving me pressure, so I should do this and go about it this way?
Yes, for the case of social media, we tend to say that even when you get up in the morning, please don't look at your phone the first thing. most of the time when you're sleeping, the first thing somebody wakes up is like, let me confirm what is going on in Kenya. Maybe they have sold the country and I don't know. People are, you feel like you just wake up and you feel you are missing out on something. And there's nothing you are missing out on. So what we normally advocate, try to put your gadgets down. Even the TV set in our home, try to switch off the television and have a conversation with your family members.
Yes.
It's very funny and sad that we have reached a level that you can find a family members in a sitting room. They are not talking to each other.
Yes.
All of them are on the phone.
They are glued on their phones.
Communicating with somebody they are not present with and thinking now they are creating a social circle. But if you cannot communicate with your family member, what will you communicate with other people to help you?
Actually, it happens. That's true.
Yeah, these gadgets are normally, social media is normally has completely removed that from the reality realm of life. And to tackle it, we normally say, number one, try to visit your friends and family members. Try to go to your, maybe those family members, if for the people who work away from their family members, try to, on your off days, instead of you going to your house and maybe watching a movie,
yes,
just try to go back home and have maybe a good day with your family members. And if for the cases maybe you are at home and you have your own family members, instead of putting a movie and watching, you can just switch off your gadgets and communicate.
You socialize.
Yeah,
physically.
Socialize physically. Because one thing about the television, it won't make you feel better. But once you communicate with each other, it makes you. There's something in human beings that we can't explain, but
the vibration.
Yeah, there's a vibration. But when you communicate with your family members and others, it tends you to make you feel okay. Yeah, that's the one issue about avoiding this social media stress and also engaging more with our colleagues and family members.
And actually, as we continue to talk about mental health, maybe there's someone watching us and they just don't know the importance or why we are talking about mental health and the status or something. Maybe you can tell them, why is it important? Why are we talking about all these issues?
Well, we are talking about mental health because actually mental health affects your work, affects how you feel about yourself, affects about how you feel the people around you. So normally, when you think mental health illness is not a big issue, it eats you in the realm that you start being detached from reality. You start seeing small things. You don't. There's something we call living in the moment. Being mindful. We call it mindfulness. So normally with mental health issues, somebody withdraws from the normal reality, in that there's a way you should feel about yourself and there's a way you should feel about your surrounding. But people with mental health issues, e.g. depression, those people, you can find them at home now. They tell you, I just don't feel like doing anything. And you're wondering, you can walk, what do you mean? Like you can eat, you can watch something, or you can communicate with people. There are so many things to do. Why don't you just, but mental health illnesses, there are some things which there are things which affect your hormones, the way you feel, even the way you feel about yourself, about communicating. You know, for you to even communicate about somebody, there's something we call a dopaminergic system, which it's a reward. It tells you once you communicate with Nicholas or with Innocent, you'll feel better. Once you share, you'll feel better. And actually, when as humans, when we talk, there's a hormone called oxytocin which is released, which helps us bond. That is what has helped us form communities and villages around us. So the thing about mental health issues, it negates this thing, and even talking to someone doesn't give you any joy. Trust me, once depression hits you, it's when you discover that even talking to someone, there's something normally that you get from it. But with mental health illnesses, talking to people, that doesn't work with you. Going to work, you start feeling, why am I even going to work? So number one, you'll end up losing your work. Very many people with mental health issues end up losing their work because in the long run, they don't see, why am I even going to work? What's the essence of going to work? Why am I even doing all this? Number two, there's the whole feeling to socialize with people. You start detaching from your family members, maybe from your own family at home, from your colleagues, and through that, people stop reaching out to you. and now you are left alone, and that's the worst phase about mental health issues.
Wow.
Yeah, so that one will completely affect everything.
We can say that our mental health status are also connected to our esteem and our well-being.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Now, Dr. let's talk about ways we can improve our mental health so that we can live positively. How can we do it?
Well, number one, we talk about connect with people. Once you are at work, ukiingia kazini, when you at the gate, that watchman, talk to them, communicate with how did you sleep, how was your day? It's not that you are giving them anything, but actually it helps you back. That's communicating with them.
Yes.
When you're at home, try to talk to your parents. Don't just be that, maybe you have an issue and you're like, I'll cut you off. Actually communicating with them helps you rather than even helping them. Try to talk with your colleagues, because one thing about your colleagues, if you are somebody, like for your case you work,
yes,
and normally like in a day, when you compare at home and here, where do you spend most of your time?
Here. I spend most of the time here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So being in good relations with your family members, when you're talking with your colleagues, will help even them to recognize when you have an issue. Maybe you have some school fees issues with your kid and you don't know how to deal with them. A friend comes and notices, you have an issue. Personally, you think, what will I do? You're not thinking of your friend will help, because most of us are going through the same issue. So maybe you don't want to disturb them. But your friend comes around and gives you maybe 1,000 bob, or tells you, I know somebody who can go and facilitate you to be able to cover this school fees as you work on yourself. A problem that you couldn't solve on your own,
by sharing,
could help.
Yes.
By sharing, it's half solved. And another thing is physical activity.
Yes.
Try to get out. Try to engage in something. Have something that you do. We are not talking about just maybe playing football. As little as even if it's all about washing utensils, washing clothes. Get busy. The thing about mental illness is that you are thinking a lot about something you don't have a solution to. You are overthinking something which ideally you shouldn't be thinking that way, because it's not such a big issue. But once you take a small thing and think, but then do you know, even if you take your shoe, maybe you have a hole in your shoe and it's leaking, and you start thinking about it, just thinking about it. The longer you end up thinking about even your full life, where is my life going? Beginning from the shoe. All you have to do is find something to do, activity, and that will really help in terms of what we feel about ourselves. Another which is related to a physical activity, try to have a new skill you are doing.
Develop a new skill.
Maybe you're at home and you see, you have some things. I'm sure there's something at home which is not okay. Maybe a fence is not.
Yes.
Is not a fence was spoiled maybe by an animal, or maybe you have not mowed your grass.
Yes.
Or the utensils are dirty. Majorly, let's leave the utensils. Let's talk about issues which you develop a new skill while doing. Or maybe your motorcycle or your vehicle has broken down. You trying to solve that issue, you don't know it. So you'll be engaging your prefrontal cortex and trying to determine, how do I solve this issue? So if I connect this wire to this one, can it work? So you connect it and it doesn't work. So you know, so this one doesn't work this way. By doing that, you don't know, but mentally you are really developing. You are really building on your creativity issues, and your mind will move from that phase of thinking about what you are going through. And that has really helped in terms of what in the long run what you'll be able to determine. And another issue before I forget is giving back or giving to somebody.
Yes.
And normally when we say giving to people, most people think about money.
Yes.
Giving back to people doesn't only necessarily mean money. Saying thank you is giving back to people. Just somebody doing something to you and you saying thank you.
Yes.
Another thing is listening to people. Listening is a very hard topic, because it's a very good skill to have.
Yes.
And most people will like talking and
rather than listening.
Just listening to someone is giving back to them, because once you listen to someone, they feel like you are hearing them. And you personally, you will see the way this person is feeling after they have communicated back to you. And you'll be able to get that energy, and you'll be able to feel like you have accomplished something. You have been able to lay out a plan for somebody to lay out their issues. Most people don't have issues that they require you to solve.
Yes.
Most people have issues that they require you to listen to. So in that way, you give back to the community also. Yeah.
And you improve your mental health.
And you improve your mental health. And also, when you are still in that giving back, also there's something called personally. Now, you asked a question about how do you know personally you are affected.
Yes.
So personally, for you to be able to avoid these mental health disorders, try to be mindful. What mindfulness means is that try to minimize thinking about the future and the past, try to live in the present. So I can give an example, like when you're seated, maybe at home or at work.
Yes.
Just breathe in and breathe out. Don't think about anything. Just think, what are you doing? I'm an organism. I'm an organism. I'm seated here. I'm breathing. I'm breathing out. How do I feel? I'm seated, I feel relaxed. That thinking, you are in the present, it gives you a sense of well-being. Rather than being in, maybe you are seated here and you are wondering, and the maize I planted, really saw this. And in the past, I did a problem. I don't know whether that was a good solution. That was a good choice I made. That thinking about the past and the future has really destroyed us completely. Yeah, so we call it about being mindful about where you are. Try to be present, even when you are walking. You find somebody in the street walking very fast, and we ask him, "Hey, how are you?" "I'm good. I want to reach in my workplace." We are so encompassed in the future, and it never arrives. It never arrives.
Yes.
But when you live in the present, you tend to discover how life is beautiful. Because funny thing about living in the present, you come to the realization, I'll die. And all these things don't matter. I'll die. So you cool down and start living in the moment. And finally, we can talk about positivity or being optimistic. When you wake up in the morning, what do you normally do? Or maybe think?
For me, when I wake up, I begin first with a prayer. Maybe do some cleaning before I get on board to come to work.
Yes. So that is a very good measure. That is a very good way or pattern of waking up, because we normally say, like, when you wake up, avoid using your gadgets. Number one, get on your knees and thank God. Thanking God for what you have enables you to discover that you are not in such a turmoil. You are not in such a bad state of life. When you wake up in the morning, avoid saying to yourself, maybe I haven't done this today, I haven't done this today, I haven't done this yesterday, I didn't do this, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to. Try to wake up in the morning, tell God, thank you for the work I have normally. I go to. Thank you, God, I've woken up. I know many people
have not made it
to this day. Thank you, God, that I have a place that I have a roof that I can lay my head and sleep well at night. Thank you, God, robbers didn't come at night and rob me of everything that I have. Thank you, God, I've woken up, maybe hungry, maybe I'm not hungry, but at least I can be able to work. Thank you, God, I've woken up and I'm not ill. Saying that way, it does not only help you in your social spiritual well-being in that you thank our God. Another thing that it helps you discover that there's a lot you need to be grateful for life. God has done a lot for you, that for you to sit back and say, there's something I want again from life.
Yes.
Yeah, so being optimistic, try to be thankful for what you have, and that will really go well with you.
Positivity.
Maybe,
Dr. as we wind up, the government is aware that many of the population are suffering from mental health disorders, PTSD, we talk of schizophrenia and many others. What is a step that they have done to counter these illnesses?
Well, for now, we are the government has really tried to step up on having the medics specializing on more of the mental health issue, and also these programs of us coming and talking and communicating with the community about this issue. But I can just say there's not much effort into the whole issue about mental health illnesses.
We still have much to
do, and I think personally, on a personal level, us at home, we can be able to step up. Let's look on our friends, on our family members. Let's try to recognize these issues, because like in our county, I think we have like 2 psychiatrists. And in our county hospitals, there are very few instances whereby we have a personal psychiatrist, whereby you are assigned your own psychiatrist to deal with the mental health issue.
Yes.
We don't have enough psychiatrists in our county and even at large in our nation.
Yes.
Number two, we don't have the finances to deal with the psychiatrists. Do you know psychiatrists charge up to 5,000 per hour? Mm-hmm. You can easily be talking and you're wondering, hey, this money is this is 1 hour 5,000. We are still pushing for it to be placed because it's not in our insurance.
Yes.
It's not covered, and it could have been even better if it could have been being offered for free, and the government caters for the fee so that people can be able to communicate their issues.
Yeah. All right. It's the end of our 30 minutes program. Thank you so much, Dr. Innocent, for giving us an insightful and in-depth about mental health. Maybe you can just tell our viewers, how can they find you, the services maybe they can get from you, from Equity Afya and all that.
Yeah, so you can visit us at Equity Afya Kitale. We are located just right opposite to Kitale Law Courts, and normally there we have medics for dealing with various issues. We have gynecological issues. We can deal with pediatric children issues. We also have a clinic we have ultrasound department. We have an optometric department for your eyes. We have the dental department, teeth. We also have a well-equipped lab and several staff medics who deal with our daily medical and surgical issues. So you can visit us at Equity Afya Kitale, and you'll be able to get your services all the way need. For the contacts, you can get us at 0765 000050. 0765 000050.
All right. Thank you so much, Daktari.
Thank
I
you.
hope this is just the beginning of more episodes where we can learn much about our mental health as well as other illnesses.
Yeah.
May God bless you. Until next time, our viewers, stay well, stay safe. Until next time we meet here on Health, Hygiene and Wellness. My name is Barasa Saenyi. This is Imani Television. Goodbye.